Hey everyone, welcome back to Financial Futures. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell to stay updated on the latest financial news, Social Security, and government benefit updates. Today, we're covering a major story that could have set a game-changing precedent in the U.S., the nation's first Universal Basic Income Program, or UBI. Oregon recently voted on a measure that would have provided a $750 annual check to every resident, regardless of age or income level. Now that the results are in, let's take a closer look at what happened and why this vote could have implications for all of us. Before we dive into the vote and what it means for the future, let's break down the basics of this proposal. Oregon's Measure 118 was one of the most ambitious attempts at a universal basic income program in the United States. Unlike Guaranteed Basic Income (GBI) programs, which usually target specific groups like low-income families or people experiencing homelessness, this UBI proposal would have been completely universal. That means everyone living in Oregon, regardless of their income, age, or employment status, would be eligible to receive $750 per year as a direct cash payment from the state. And how would they pay for it? The plan involved imposing a 3% tax on large corporations operating within Oregon, specifically companies with annual revenues of $25 million or more. This corporate tax would, in theory, create a new stream of funding that could then be redistributed to Oregon residents as a form of economic support. So, in essence, the proposal aimed to tax large businesses to fund an income that would go directly to all citizens, helping with everything from daily expenses to future savings. This wasn't just another local program, it was potentially a historic first step towards UBI at a state level. This measure didn't just gain attention in Oregon, it became a focal point for UBI advocates and critics nationwide. For a bit of background, universal basic income has been a hot topic lately, especially as automation and artificial intelligence raise concerns about job stability. High-profile advocates like Andrew Yang, a former presidential candidate, have argued that UBI could be a long-term solution to address income inequality, support economic resilience, and help people meet their basic needs as the nature of work changes. This was a significant opportunity to see UBI in action in the U.S., with Oregon leading the way. Supporters hoped that, if successful, it would encourage other states to follow suit, creating a ripple effect that could eventually lead to national UBI programs. Opponents, however, expressed concern that it might strain businesses, raise prices, and ultimately be less effective than other forms of targeted economic support. Now, let's get to the big reveal. What did Oregon voters decide? Out of the nearly 2 million votes cast, a staggering 78.2% of voters said no to Measure 118. Only 21.8% voted in favor, which means the proposal wasn't even close to passing. To put this into perspective, that's almost an 80-20 split, a significant margin that surprised a lot of analysts. Even people who had closely followed this measure thought it might pass, given the benefits it promised to offer everyone in the state. But instead, Oregon voters turned it down with a decisive no. So, what led to this overwhelming result? There are a few potential reasons why Measure 118 was rejected by such a large margin. First, the idea of taxing large businesses sounds straightforward, but in reality, many voters feared that those businesses would pass the cost of that 3% tax directly on to consumers. That could mean higher prices on everyday items, groceries, gas, utility bills anywhere these businesses operate. And, as we all know, inflation has already been taking a toll on the average household budget. For many, a $750 check might not be enough to offset the possible rise in prices that could follow. Another possible factor is skepticism about whether UBI is truly the best way to address economic inequality. Some critics argue that UBI, while attractive in theory, doesn't directly solve structural issues, like access to affordable housing, healthcare, or education. Others fear it could create dependency on government payouts without fostering job creation or personal financial growth. So, for many voters, Even a modest annual payout might have felt like an inadequate solution to larger, systemic issues. While Measure 118 may have failed in Oregon, the broader discussion around universal basic income isn't going away. In fact, this vote could be just the beginning. States like California and Illinois have already shown interest in similar economic programs, so they may attempt their own versions of UBI or GBI, especially if they believe they can design a system that addresses the concerns Oregon voters had. And who knows? A more refined proposal with additional measures to curb corporate price hikes might gain more traction in the future. This vote also sends a message to UBI advocates and policymakers. If UBI programs are to succeed, they'll need to be crafted in ways that address the economic concerns of everyday voters, balancing direct financial assistance with strategies to prevent inflation or price hikes. Oregon's experience could offer a valuable lesson for future proposals. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think a universal basic income program would work better in another state, or is the concept too challenging to implement fairly without causing side effects like inflation? I'd love to hear what you think. Drop a comment below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Oregon's UBI vote, don't forget to hit the like button to let us know, and subscribe for more updates on government programs, financial news, and the latest in economic policy. Financial Futures is here to keep you informed and ahead in the changing world of finance. And that's it for today's update on Financial Futures. Be sure to check out our other videos on topics like Social Security updates, investment strategies, and economic trends that impact you directly. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay informed and stay ahead.